For those of you that don't know, just the other day, the New York Jets decided to let or allow Zach Wilson to seek a trade. And, well, the Minnesota Vikings were listed as an intriguing trade destination for Zach Wilson. And I got to say right off the bat, before you guys get upset with me, please know, okay, I do not want anything to do with Zach Wilson. We've seen what he's capable of. He is not a good quarterback. He shows spurts of, not really spurts. He shows like a pass or two during a game where you're like, okay, he's got some talent. He's got at least got some arm talent, okay? But that's about it, right? Zach Wilson is Zach Wilson. We already know everything we need to know about him. And coming over to the Minnesota Vikings, sure, it could give him a second chance, a rejuvenation, make him better and stuff like that. I really don't care. I don't want to hear that nonsense. I don't want anything to do with Zach Wilson. And I'm sure neither do you guys, because it's Zach Wilson. Okay, we all got basically put into a trance when he made that cross-body throw during his pro day or wherever it was at BYU, just throwing in front of scouts and stuff, and then he goes number 2 overall and yada, yada, yada. But it's Zach Wilson. So if Zach Wilson and the Minnesota Vikings find a way, if the Vikings trade for Zach Wilson, yes, I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be very upset, especially if we don't get the Kirk Cousins deal done, or especially if we don't draft a rookie quarterback, which I hope, if Kwesi Adofo-Mensah is smart, say he does trade for Zach Wilson for some weird reason, he drafts a rookie quarterback, the rookie quarterback gets to start, or he re-signs Kirk Cousins. You have to have somebody else in there because we know what Zach Wilson is, okay? We've already been through this. It's Zach Wilson, right? Plain and simple. But I seen this article today. It's basically from Christopher Gates, and it's talking about The Athletic, basically diving through of why Zach Wilson has been listed, or saying that he's been listed as an intriguing trade destination for Minnesota. So let's get right into it. Before we do, make sure to subscribe to the channel and drop a like. It'd be much, much appreciated. So the New York Jets have given Zach Wilson permission to seek a trade, and Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic seems to think that the Vikings are the most intriguing trade destination for him. Here's what he said. Kirk Cousins is a free agent, and Minnesota doesn't have any young quarterbacks on the roster worth developing. I wouldn't say worth developing because, I mean, Jaren Hall, I think he's worth developing. In addition, quarterback-friendly coach Kevin O'Connell has a proven history of putting his quarterbacks in position to succeed. This is the most intriguing potential destination. So if you look at it that way with Kevin O'Connell and say, yes, he was a quarterback in the National Football League, he was a quarterback's coach, he's a quarterback-friendly offensive mind, if you will. He puts his quarterbacks in the best position to succeed. But ultimately, he'll put them in the position to succeed, but it's execution, right? Zach Wilson has to execute if he wants to succeed. And he hasn't proven that he can do that, okay? It doesn't matter if KOC can, he could do whatever he wants. He could take the defense away and Zach Wilson probably still wouldn't execute, right? It's probably what's going to happen. So I don't know. But Rosenblatt is right when he says that the Vikings don't have any young quarterbacks worth the... Okay, that is wrong. And that is a bit harsh towards Jaren Hall. That's what I just said, right? Because Jaren Hall is young. He is worth developing. He could be a decent backup in this league. We've seen it, okay? He's got wheels. He's not going to be a starter in this league by any means. Maybe one day. I doubt it. But he'd be a pretty solid backup if he just, fixes the little things, get the fundamentals back. I think he has what it takes to be a good backup in the National Football League. But the thing about potentially trading for Zach Wilson is, at this point, he hasn't shown that he's worth developing either. He isn't. I think we've seen his ceiling. I don't think we can get anything better out of Zach Wilson. We know what he is, and he's not going to change. He's immature, and he's not going to change. Plain and simple. He thinks he's really, really good, and he's not. Sure, he's in the National Football League, but there's a reason the Jets went out and got Aaron Rodgers, who's 40-some years old, on a 2-year deal, and now potentially longer, because they don't believe in Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson was benched multiple times this past season. Zach is not worth developing. Now, Wilson was taken second overall in the 2021 draft by the Jets and hasn't had a whole lot of success to this point, which we all know. He's completed around 57% of his passes while only throwing 23 touchdowns against his 25 interceptions. Wow. What a quarterback, right? He wound up starting just 11 games for the Jets this past season, being forced into duty after Aaron Rodgers ruptured his Achilles just 4 plays into the season. Now, I'm guessing, okay, that this is Christopher Gates. He's saying that the asking price for Zach Wilson probably wouldn't be that much. Okay, probably a conditional late-round pick or something, which I'd have to agree with. Okay, he's basically worth a bag of dirt at this point. Nothing. Okay, but honestly, that's still too much to pay for one of the biggest draft busts in recent memory, and hopefully Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah and company aren't nearly as intrigued by the idea of trading for Zach Wilson as they could be, or as the buddy from The Athletic, Zach Rosenblatt, had basically said. This is just absolutely ridiculous. When I seen this, I just knew I had to talk about it because it makes literally no sense. And it would really make me mad. It would make me so angry. I just don't even know what to think. Like, it literally, like, my brain can't process what I would have to go through if we did trade for Zach Wilson. There's no reason any team should trade for Zach Wilson. Any team. He's not worth anything. The only time you want Zach Wilson on your team is if your 1, 2, and 3 quarterback all go out, all get injured somehow, and then you have to go pick him up off free agency. Zach Wilson should not get traded. The Jets are probably going to have to cut him, and then that's when he'd get signed because nobody's going to trade, draft capital. Nobody's going to trade personnel for Zach Wilson. It'd be just ridiculous. It'd be really dumb. No way the Minnesota Vikings do this, and if they do, again, not only are you guys going to be upset, but I'm going to be very upset because it makes no sense for our Minnesota Vikings, regardless of the Kirk Cousins situation or not. If we can go get a young quarterback in this year's draft, do it. If we can go get Russell Wilson, do it. I'd rather have Russell Wilson. I'd rather have Sam Darnold, Trey Lance. I mean, the list kind of goes on. I'd rather have Nick Foles than Zach Wilson. I might be talking crazy right there, but maybe even Carson Wentz. I mean, that'd be a little bit of a stretch, but I mean, I don't know. Zach Wilson, just stay far away. Okay, don't even ask the Vikings for a potential trade possibility. I don't want it. We don't want it. Hopefully the Minnesota Vikings organization doesn't want it. So you guys can let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below about this potential intriguing trade destination for Zach Wilson. Also drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It'd be much, much appreciated. Have a great rest of your night, folks, and Skol Vikes.